Have you ever wondered what are the best platforms to build a seven-figure wholesale real estate business? This video shows you the exact platforms I used to build $1 million business while working only 15 hours a week. I'm still active in the business and I'll walk you through what's working for us today. So in a nutshell, at a high level, there's a few different categories. In gray here is everything to do with hiring and managing your team members as you build a team, as you scale. And purple here is just kind of just basic admin stuff as setup. Pink here is communication, automation stuff, more of like the system backends. And in the middle is everything to do with acquisitions, so locking up deals, and dispositions on the bottom when it comes to selling the deals, and then underwriting as well. And so we're going to go through each one, and I also will have affiliate links on the bottom, and they'll also have discounts to them if you guys would like to explore each any of these platforms. Okay, so to dive right into it, Prime Corporate Services. This is a way to create an LLC. An attorney told me, I'm not an attorney, but I've got the advice to do a Wyoming LLC as of 2025 because there's a lot of anonymity that you can get from it, and that essentially means that you can make it so you're hidden in the face of the world, so your name's not out there. So Prime Corporate Services, they can facilitate that process for you, which is really cool. So you form the entity, they can help you with taxes and all that stuff. I'm mainly using it just for creating the LLC for our company. So Prime Corporate Services is an easy way to go about that. Squarespace, one way to create a website. There's also GoDaddy. I don't know any free ways to create a website when it comes to the domain. But Squarespace, really easy user face. I recommend it. That's what we've done. All of our websites are through Squarespace. So Lovable.ai, recently just came across this one. This is a way to create a website. You could hire somebody using these sources, which I'll get into. But if you would like to do it yourself, it took me an hour to do it, and I learned it really quick. Lovable.ai. So just to show you guys a final product, here is a website I created for one of our companies where we share a lot of the things that we've learned when it comes to building a seven-figure wholesale real estate company. And I built this whole website in an hour, which was like pretty amazing. I just essentially what you do though, why you can do it so quick is you type in a prompt of what you're looking for, and then it shares, and then it just basically spits it out, and then you just make adjustments very easily. So pretty cool this whole process. So that's Lovable.ai. WizeHire is a really cool platform where essentially you can, and here is the process for our cold caller. Essentially WizeHire, what you could do with this, and the benefit of it is it posts on Indeed and all the big major job platforms. It posts them and then it filters them all in one spot. So I believe it's doing Indeed, LinkedIn, and a few others. And it posts all in one spot when people apply. So you can get them all, and then you can kind of go through this conveyor belt process when it comes to seeing if they're a good fit for your team. And so we have multiple job ads going out, and this is the easiest way that we've approached this. This does cost money, but it is very helpful to manage people in the hiring process. There's also Upwork. Upwork is a way to get VAs. Really good experience with getting VAs through Upwork. And essentially what you would do here is you could just filter by the location. And then you got the time zones, certain talent that you're looking for. A lot of our admin people that we have on our team, we got through Upwork. So a lot of the stuff when it comes to the data side as we do outbound marketing, Upwork was a really great way to find those people. A lot of our people right now are currently from Pakistan. So highly recommend Upwork. TalentLMS is a way to manage the onboarding process. So essentially right here, this is our disposition agent course. What you would do is you would create the course, and the course is usually made up of videos, and essentially, and you can use Loom. Loom is one of what we use when it comes to creating these videos. You use Loom, and then you would essentially just put all the videos in one spot into a course, and then you click open, and as the admin person, this is what they, as the team member, all they do is just click open, and then they could just go through the whole entire process. And on your side, you could actually easily track where they're at in the course. So right now it says 0%, you could easily track where they're at. So a very easy way of holding team members accountable, or employees, or essentially just accountable to watching the course and making sure it gets done. There's a lot of other ones like this, but TalentLMS is the one that we use and we found effective. LastPass. LastPass is a way to manage your passwords. So in the past, we had a very difficult time where we would share everybody's, we would have a password, for example, like let's say Figma. I'd share it with one person, that person goes away, in the sense that we offboarded them for whatever the reason is, and then I would need to change that password, and then I would need to tell everybody on the team, hey, password change, and it got very difficult to manage. And so when you build up to a big team, an easier way to approach this is you get LastPass, and basically you give the person the password through this platform, and when you change it there, it changes for everybody. And additionally, they actually don't know the password as well, so all they need to do is click launch, and say for example in Figma, and it auto fills it in. So the benefit of LastPass is it hides your password, and it's also easy to change the password as well. And by the way, if you guys are liking this, leave a like and subscribe on the bottom, please. And it'll let me know to keep doing these videos if you guys find this helpful. Time Doctor. Okay, Time Doctor is a really easy way to manage VAs or anyone that's in a virtual environment. So essentially how this works is they would clock in, and they'd essentially just clock in, and then from there it can do screencasts, which is really cool, where you can actually see what's going on in the screen, and then you can see how many hours they work, and they would clock out, and there's that, and then you also see their mouse movement and keyboard movement. So it's a really cool way to just basically hold a virtual team member accountable. Next is QuickBooks. So QuickBooks, that's how we manage our payroll. Relay, I'm sure if you guys will have QuickBooks, it's basically every accountant is going to want you to use QuickBooks. So there's that, and that's what we use. And then there's Relay Bank. So all these different bank accounts, what I like about Relay is that it essentially follows the profit first model, where you can create all these different bank accounts. And for example, right now our setup is we have an income account, we have a OPEX account, and you could create like 20 different checking accounts, and then you could easily allocate to each one. And the biggest power of it is that, say for example, $10,000 goes into the income account, goes there, you can create an automation, and I'm sure other banks do this, but this is our experience with Relay, and it's beneficial. $10,000 goes into income account. You can make it so there's an automation where a certain percentage goes to the certain account. So for example, $10,000 goes to the income account, 50% will automatically go to the OPEX account or your operating expense account. 20% goes to you if you wanted to pay yourself out, and then 30% goes to giving account or whatever the case is. So obviously I'm just making up numbers, but that's the power of Relay. Okay, so going back to here, there's Slack. So going on this other side, Slack communications, that's what we use when it comes to everything to do with communicating. Overall, in the sense of, say, when team members are in, they say good morning. When they leave, they say, actually, when they leave, we just know that when they leave because you could see a little Slack status. But I recommend Slack when it comes to, at least if you have like more than 3 team members, Slack is a really great way to manage communication. You also can use Discord as well. Slack and Discord are the 2 ways to basically do communication as a team. Notion, we use it for everything. Basically everything that a platform is unable to do, Notion is kind of fills in those holes, but it's essentially Google Docs, Google Sheets, like Excel, and like Notes all combined in one. So it's a very easy way to stay organized. So when it comes to just me writing notes and my ideas, I just use Notion for it. And then there's also, and I'll have a separate video on different use cases of how we use Notion. Additionally, there's NAN and Zapier. So these are platforms to use to automate a lot of the processes. And yeah, it's really cool. So for example, here's one NAN workflow, and essentially what this is doing, and I recommend if you're not a coder person, there's also Gumloop. Gumloop's a really great way to figure out these processes when it comes to actually creating these. But essentially, this is just an automation. Right now, I have no idea what's going on. Our VA created this, but right now, anytime we have a deal that we lock in, this automatically gets posted to Slack. So when it updates in our CRM, it automatically gets posted to Slack so the team knows. So this is the automation that's creating that. But Gumloop is another way to make it where you just ask it, hey, I want to create an automation on this, and it will actually do it for you. So NAN, I would recommend to use when it comes to if you have a team member that is very averse in creating automations. However, if you don't and you want to explore on your own, Gumloop. And Zapier, very similar concept. It's a way to connect a lot of these platforms so you're not double dipping. Okay, so when it comes to the actual marketing side of things, we'll start with the CRM. So all of our leads go to ReSimpli CRM. Podio is a free way if you guys like to explore that. But once you have certain team members, ReSimpli is really great when it comes to managing your team members. And a CRM is a way to just manage all your leads. So you get a seller, and I'll have this whole separate video on how to use ReSimpli and how we use it. But it's a way to, say for example, you have someone looking to sell their property, given this is a wholesale real estate video, you have someone looking to sell a property, you can manage their follow-ups, you can manage when you're reaching back out to them. And the coolest thing, the difference between Podio and ReSimpli is that you can have a whole team involved and you can easily see what people are doing and hold people accountable very easily. So it's very cool there. So we do outbound marketing. So we are currently doing texting, cold calling, and Google Ads. And so here's our stack on that. However, you could stack these up in any different way. So Launch Control is our texting platform. Here's what that looks like. And you could easily just send a bunch of text very quickly. And obviously, this all starts though with the data. So I would first get the data, and then from the data, and you could skip trace the data with DataSkip. And something to note is that there's hundreds of skip tracing sources. We found that it's dependent on the location that you're targeting when it comes to how good these data skip tracing sources are. So it's very location dependent. DataSkip though we found is good kind of across the board. So we recommend them. But essentially you would get the data, and we start with kind of CRM. We put the data into there, and then from our CRM, we skip trace it. And you could actually use ReSimpli to skip trace as well, but we just found DataSkip to be a little bit better at this time. And then from there, though, you either cold call it or text it. So those are two of the marketing strategies that we're using. And so if we were to text it, we would basically put it into this platform, and then we text it all, and then any of the leads we were able to push using an automation back into our CRM, and then we slowly just go through that process. Exact same thing for cold calling. We use batch dialer. So batch dialer is, rather than just doing a single line dialer, we recommend doing a triple line dialer, which essentially is a way that you can call multiple people at one time, and it's a way to just hit a lot of people. Given that, you're just really trying to find people looking to sell. And if you're going this approach, this is a quantity approach where you just need to talk to as many people as possible. It really is the nature of this business. So when it comes to the outbound marketing, so batch dialer though, and there's also call tools. That's another one, but batch dialer is what we found is most effective when it comes to cold calling and using that triple dialer or quadruple dialer. And essentially what it's doing is just calling 3 people at a time, and the first person that answers, you answer. So those are the marketing processes that we do there. When it comes to actually, and then we also have iSpeedToLead. Here's iSpeedToLead. You can essentially buy leads. And where are these leads coming from? There are massive companies that post YouTube, Facebook ads, Google ads, and they get these people that are looking to sell their property, and they sell those leads to people like you and me. And so you can go in here and actually buy those leads. And so they can be exclusive. You could see some information on them. If you want more information, you can buy a certain membership. But it's a really cool way to get leads. And this is called pay per lead, PPL. So that's one avenue that you can explore. But iSpeedToLead is one of the best PPL services we have found. SM3 Google Ads. So there's Bateman and SM3. And I believe there's actually one from TTP as well. There's a bunch of different services that help facilitate Google Ads if you plan to do Google Ads. And I recommend SM3. That's the one that we're using, and they've been really good with us when it comes to just communication and essentially the amount that we spend getting our return. So SM3 has been great. And one thing to note is that for Google Ads or PPC, pay per click, usually if you put $1 in, you want to get like $3 or $4 back. And with SM3, we've achieved that. If not, it's actually been higher, but it's obviously dependent on the time horizon of how long you look. But overall, so far, SM3 has been really good for us. So highly recommend them as a PPC company. And then DataSkip is for the data when it comes to cold calling and texting. So that's just marketing in a way. And then when you get a deal, right? So you get deal lead, you need it to underwrite it. So PropStream and Privy, both services that we've used that really are helpful when it comes to comping. Zillow is a free way to approach it though. You could just use Zillow. And I will have a lot of videos on how we use Zillow to comp. But you also could use these. So just to go into PropStream, say for example this property, and the benefit of PropStream is that for non-disclosure states, essentially Texas is one of them, and what that means is there are states that don't share data when properties are sold. So it's very hard, for example, using Zillow to figure out what to offer when you don't know what things are selling for. So PropStream is one way to go about that. They actually are able to capture that data, so you could see the sale amount for some of these. So that's what's cool about PropStream. But say for example this property, I just picked a random property. You can go here and then you do comps, and you actually get to see comps for this area. And comps are just similar properties that sold, and then you can easily just work backwards on what it would make sense for you to buy based off of repairs and what yours looks like in similarity to this one. And just a quick note, square footage, distance. Distance is one of the biggest things when it comes to comping, trying to find a property as close, as similar to it in that area. And obviously we would want it to be something that sold recently. But whole separate video on that. And PropStream though is a really great way to identify comps. HomeJab for photos. HomeJab is really cool, where they do this nationwide, where you can easily get photos for a property. So say, for example, you're living in New York and you are working on a property in Indiana. HomeJab, you can just reach out to them and they'll be able to take photos for you, and they have really high-end photos. You also could get drone photos, so they're really good. If you want a cheaper option, BPO Velocity, they're not as high quality photos, but they usually $30 to $40 as of 2025. That might change. HomeJab is 100 to like 200, depending on how many photos you get. But it's very high quality and will help when it comes to the disposition process. InvestorLift is a way to find cash buyers. I have a whole separate video on finding 10 different ways to find buyers. However, InvestorLift though is just kind of a go-to way if you're doing 5 deals or more to sell your deal. And then say, for example, you have a deal locked in with a buyer. To facilitate the whole process to closing, Easy REI. It is a transaction coordinator service where you have a designated transaction coordinator for that property that you are selling, and they will make sure it gets to the closing table, and they're really good at communication and all that. So Easy REI has been pretty awesome on that front if you would like a transaction coordinator and not have to handhold that whole process when you already have a buyer locked in. So we've built all these systems in our own business. If you want access to everything, all the links are below. Subscribe if this helped. Thank you so much, and until next time.